been a part of the criminal justice system for a long time, and I've seen a pendulum swing maybe more than once. When we added positions like school resource officers, it was in the the late 90s get tough on crime era, and we added a lot of probation surveillance programs, intensive supervision for juveniles. And what we're figuring out is that doesn't work. And so finally, I'm glad that I'm still in the system, so we can, it can swing back to handle things more informally, especially fights at school, things in the neighborhood that we did, that were just part of growing up. We've criminalized so much of kid behavior and given kids records.
A lot more youth activity has been criminalized as the years go by. Something as simple as, I'm not saying playing on the street might be criminalized, but people might have to fear going to play basketball in the streets because they don't know if a cop's going to drive by and think that something, because I remember playing basketball in the neighborhood with my cousins and some of the friends, and we would get kind of aggressive, we would call it, street ball. And then we would have to fear when you see the cop cars drive by, oh, everybody's running into the house because we don't know what to expect. And something so much as throwing a basketball too hard could be seen as aggressive behavior,
Before 2016, we did not have a detention risk needs assessment. And before that, officers would bring juvenile offenders in, and my office intake would meet them there, and they would say, this kid needs to go to detention and this kid can be released to parents. And it never felt right for me that it was just arbitrarily, being made, and there wasn't science to it, and there wasn't data to it, and there wasn't sound reasoning to it. And so I would always challenge that. And there were a couple of times where law enforcement, they make the final decision where we would have to agree to disagree. But I blamed it on things like single parenting, socioeconomic classes. You would have a juvenile, and they will have been together, committed the same offense. One kid's parents have the ability to show up at the police station, and one kid's parents does not have that ability for whatever reason. Transportation, they're home with small children, they are a single parent, they don't have a car. And so sometimes I think we made decisions based on whether or not you had the means and to get to the law enforcement center. Like, oh, this kid needs to go to detention, this kid needs to be released home because, oh, he has 2-parent family and they're here. Well, what's underneath that? Well, race is underneath that.
Well, actually, we had a story that happened to us not that long ago that kind of fits this, that Diego would be able to tell.
So over the summer, I was in a car with my friends, and unfortunately there were some things in the car, and I didn't have it. It was my friend. He was white, and he was in the back seat, and the cop pulls up, could smell the odor coming out. He walks up, kid, he gets to go home with his mom and everything. And then a week later, the same thing happened to one of my friends who is dark skinned, and he got taken to the police station and all that. He didn't get released to his mom. And yeah. So you could really see the difference in between it. I don't know. At first, it was kind of confusing. It was scary. It was definitely a scary experience at like 11 o'clock at night, and 8 squad cars are pulling up on you. It's very scary.
You don't even want to tell how they pulled you out?
Well, so I was in the passenger seat. I had one of my friends in the front. I was in the passenger. The guy with the stuff was right behind me, and then there's a person. It was a full car, and the cop was talking to the driver, and then he started talking to me, and he was getting like mad at me. And then he walked around the car, past everybody else, came through my stuff, started like ripping my stuff up, I had a bag full of Burger King because I had just gotten off work. I work at Burger King. I just got myself some food, and he was being real aggressive towards me before he found it. Everybody else in the car was white, and he was like very aggressive. And then when he found it, he wouldn't believe my age. I mean, I'm like 6'7", like 250 pounds. I wouldn't believe I was 16 either. But yeah, he was very like mad pretty much that I wasn't an adult. Kept asking me for my ID. This was before I had my license. So he was very mad that I wasn't 18. The driver wasn't 18. No one in the car was 18. And it seemed like he was mad that I wasn't 18. He was like, "You're not. You have to be 18."
No, it did bother me to know that there was a car full of white children, my son being the only one that wasn't, and the cop, and it wasn't RCPD, by the way,
Pot County.
it was Pot County, yeah. But they pull up. My son was not the closest at all, and they walked clear around the car to pull my 16-year-old son out, and search his belongings first. I mean, I don't know how they could explain that other than race. Why choose him?
First of all, yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, Diego. I mean, that's just should never happen. It's almost like the question of the add-on question should be, where does the intersection of racism and illicit bias is? Where does that connect? And I think there's like a fine line there that sometimes we don't really maybe want to cross, or we want to try to sugarcoat it. So I told you about my first traumatic experience with a police officer. My second traumatic experience with a police officer, very similar to what Diego went through. And I'm in middle school, and I'm not 6'7", I'm 5'7", but dark-skinned kid in the hood. There was somebody called in on us and said one of my friends had a gun, or one of the boys had a gun. And the ironic thing, and I'm not making this up, I live on 39th and right next to KU Medical Center. The Burger King is still there. We had just left Burger King. We had walked to Burger King after school to get some food. We walked through the neighborhood. All of a sudden, squad cars pull up. I have a female officer, white female officer with a shotgun to my head. I never even seen a shotgun before. And so she put me in the back of the car. Exact same thing. How old are you? I'm 13. I don't believe you. But guess what? Same thing as Diego. I didn't have an ID because I'm 13. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm giving identifying information. Well, if we can't even get past the fact that, like Diego mentioned, like a kid isn't even a kid to us in an authority position. What does that do for us? I'm a parent. I have a 5-year-old. I worry with my son daily. My son is a Black kid, and his mom is taller than me. His grandpa's 6'6". He's probably gonna be a big kid. I'm a big healthy guy. At what point is he, and this is the fear of all parents, I know, especially those of Black children, especially those of Black sons, is at what point is he perceived from being cute to a threat? As I get all these comments on Facebook, he's so cute, he's so cute. And I swear, like, my biggest fear is him wearing a hoodie and being 12 years old and being in a gas station, and somebody has headphones on. Hey, turn around, I think you're this person. And then he doesn't turn around because he can't hear. It's like a nightmare going through my head because I'm not able to do anything about it. How is he stereotyped? Will he be another Trayvon Martin?
I can't imagine articulating it any better, Tyrone, to say, like, at what point does it switch over from when our children become cute and cuddly and sweet, or perceived that way, to their whole bodies being weaponized and or sexualized? In the instance of young Black males, and certainly Latinos to some extent, being seen as threats, and then young Black girls being seen as sex objects.
So it's interesting for me, being a fully licensed police officer, Army veteran, trained to do a lot of things to defend myself. I am by law sworn by the state of Kansas I can carry a Glock with me, but I feel safer not with my Glock in certain neighborhoods. I feel safer if I have my kids with me, or if I have my wedding ring on, or if my wife is with me, because that makes me seem normal. And that is something that is called privilege, that we meaning African-American men and women, these are the things that it's our new version of the Green Book. And it's sort of what Diego has to go through, where he's just a normal kid being normal, just like Dominique said. So why is it different for him? It's almost like it's a different set of rules, again, like the Green Book.
Kids are going to be kids, children are going to be children. And as you mentioned earlier, as we grow up, that's when we start to really figure out life, figure out things. We're going to make mistakes, but that's how we grow. We can only grow from the mistakes that we've made. And it's like the mistakes that we're making are going to be criminalized. And then we have to live with that on our record. We have to live with that on our shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel like some people in society, well, it doesn't make me feel, it's a reality that some people really have to spend their lives tiptoeing around and navigating all of these unspoken rules, right? To just be safe and to just get through their dailiness in all the ways that we all have to do, right? So